Good morning, our people. Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry that we're a little bit late. We experiencing some technical difficulties as well. But we are here now. So thank you for joining us. Um, you guys know that today we have a special guest, Mr. Donald Abel from the Niger area region. So, Mazi, we are happy to have you. But we're going to start off by me introducing myself as usual. My name is Mona Chimso Aga, and I reside in Houston area of Texas. And I have my sisters with me, so I will give them the opportunity to do the same. Sisters, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Augusta Nosike. I live here in Richmond, Texas, and we are happy to have you all today, join us on what is important to our struggle. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister, okay, please. Sister, you mute yourself. We can hear you.
Not again. Good morning, viewers. My name is Eputas Simon Okube, and I joined from Lexington, Kentucky. Before we proceed this morning or afternoon in your area or wherever you are, we want to do set some housekeeping rules. Want to remind us that this is an adult show, so we expect a certain level of maturity from all participants. And when you come to this type of high-level meeting or presentation, and you start using certain words and expressions, you are only disgracing yourself and also exposing your level of timidity to the outside world. And that's not too good. So no one will take you seriously. It only shows that you lack certain cognitive abilities. And we don't want you displaying all that to the public. Having said that, we want to invite all lovers of justice, equity, and fairness, those with human kindness, milk of human kindness. No matter your religion, no matter your race, ethnicity, gender, or educational background, once you're able to listen and reason, you're welcome to this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Ekwe. So our topic today is the LNC slash MNN Alliance. From a Niger Delta perspective, we have posted our WhatsApp number. So if you're going to join us today, plan to join us on Zoom. So upload your Zoom and get ready when the time comes. So again, our topic is LNC slash MNN Alliance from a Niger Delta perspective. So in the face of the United States' most recent alarm on the penetration of the western part of Nigeria by the Al-Qaeda terrorist group, what should we be doing as a people? What should be our response? Especially when we see that some high-level miscreants and rascals in power have already sold whatever that is left of that country to China, and they find nothing wrong with it. As a people at the verge of total extermination, what should we be discussing and doing right now? Are we supposed to be gossiping on social media, or fighting on how to enthrone a supreme messiah, or settling down to figure out how to free ourselves and our children for this impending doom? We must examine all strategies and options before us. We must leave no stones unturned. We must find a way to get ourselves where we have found in a dire situation. Basically, that's where we are. So to help us in some of this discussion today, we have invited our brother, Mr. Donald Abel. Abel. Mazi, please forgive me. I'm very bad with destroying people's name. Mazi Donald Abel. So Sister Augusta will go ahead and give us more information on our brother.
Thank you, Sister Muna. Okay, Mr. Donald Eko is an Anang patriot from Ikotekmene. Is the Deputy Director, Contact and Mobilization, and Vice President Designate. He holds a bachelor's degree in physics from the University of Calabar. He also holds a diploma in computer mathematics and programming from the same institution, with professional certifications in Microsoft and Cisco. Wow. He is the Managing Director and Chief Technical Officer of DITN, an IT firm providing project implementation and support network design and implementation and project management. Is an avid political observer and analyst. Donald Ekpo has written several articles on the state of the failed United Nigeria experiment and on the advancement of unity within the Old Eastern and Midwestern regions under the auspices of the Lower Niger Congress, the LNC. One of his the most widely circulated of his essays is the one titled A Letter to My South-South Brothers. Mr. Donald Ekpo, you are welcome to the Daughters of Truth.
Thank you very much.
You are.
I hope you're hearing me.
Yes, we are.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Sister Ekwe, please go ahead. Sister Ekwe, you are on mute.
I'm on mute, yeah. Let me unmute myself. Thank you, Mr. Ekpo, for joining us. You see, Niger Delta region is part of the LNC MNN alliance partner. They are involved in the upcoming constitutional force majeure. As we continue in our public enlightenment series on the Liberation Project, it might interest our viewers to know that our guest today, Mr. Donald Ekpo, is a principal officer of the Lower Niger Congress. Welcome to Daughters of Truth, Mr. Ekpo.
Thank you very much.
All right, so I'm going to play a clip from April of 2015 of the Solemn Assembly of the People of Lower Niger Delta in Port Harcourt. So give me a moment, let me pull up that video. Bear with us, that video is kind of long, it's 18 minutes. But we're doing all of this so that we can send the appropriate message. We do not want to fragment the video where some people will not understand what we're trying to share. So the video should be playing now. Stevie, can you guys hear?
Solemn Assembly of the People of the Lower Niger, which is today wrongly called South-South-Southeast, was held on Monday, April 27, 2015, at the Atlantic Hall of the Hotel Presidential in Port Harcourt. It had the theme, Towards a Referendum for Self-Determination for the Peoples of the Lower Niger. The Solemn Assembly, which was chaired by veteran war hero Ikemba Colonel Joe Oseluka Achuzia, was put together for a soul-searching by the peoples of the Lower Niger, which is made up of the ethnic nations of the Old Eastern and Midwestern regions, aimed at exploring lawful avenues for the exercise of the fundamental rights to self-determination, self-rule, as provided for by the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, 2007. The program was convened by the Lower Niger Congress and had in attendance ethnic delegations and speakers, including Fred Agbeyegbe Esquire, President of the Lower Niger Congress, Tony Nnadi, Secretary General, Lower Niger Congress, TK Ogoriba, among many others. The assembly had in attendance a large number of foreign and local media, print and electronic. Hilda Dokubo, a highly respected voice in the Lower Niger and beyond, along with Tonya Douglas, a respected broadcaster, anchored the solemn assembly with some remarks.
Anyway, I'll help answer the question. We are here because we are tired. Yes. And we are tired of being tired. To the microphones, and we speak to people, eyeball to eyeball. That's why we are here. We're using the globally acceptable strategy and format to demand that which our fathers have been demanding for. So blow no go blow, let alone burst. Nobody will blow any blow. So if they are waiting for us to react the way that we have always reacted, they will wait for a very long time. Because we have changed the driver and we have changed the vehicle. It is not speaking for the Ijaws, or the Igbo man speaking for the Igbos, or the Ibibio man speaking. It is us speaking for us. We are the people. We the people. That's why we are here. We are that people. Enough of this slavery. Enough of this journey. We're tired. We are absolutely tired.
The chairman of the Solemn Assembly, Ikemba Colonel Joe Achuzia, gave his address.
Over the years since the amalgamation, the worst of it is the divisive fashion in which they carry out the program of denying us the right of self-determination.
Who's that one now?
The secretary has said it all, and you are seeing all in the screen before you. All I will say is that being the chairman here, I will enjoin everybody to adhere strictly to what we have discussed here.
The high point of the event was the address by the president of the Lower Niger Congress, Fred Agbeyegbe Esquire.
Were all mostly, except for Jonathan and Shagari, self-appointed heads of state who committed treason and coups and took over this country and are the people responsible for all the problems we have in this country today. And what happened when Nigeria had a problem? They were the ones that were called to come and solve the problems they themselves had created. And who are these people? There was General Abdul Salam, the one who lied on the pages of your constitution that you came together to decide that we have agreed to be ruled by the constitution. And in a voice vote that you took earlier here today, you have said you did not have such a meeting, so how could you have had such a decision? Yes. Who was the next one? Your present president-elect. The guy is a coupist. And coupists commit treason, but not in Nigeria. Here in Nigeria, they come back to come and rule you. Yes, well, you elected him as your president, so good luck to you. Now, who is the next one? Ibrahim Babangida. You all know the story. I don't need to repeat it. He was the one who deprived you of the party that the person that you chose as president overwhelmingly. He cancelled it. And nothing happened. They killed him in the end. And what did he do? He appointed Shonekon, who did not contest an election, to become your president and head of state. I was one of those who went to court, in which a court of law of Nigeria decided that Shonekon's government was illegal. Since that time, at each and every council of state, Shonekon is invited, and he goes. In what capacity? As a head of state that a court of law that was not appealed said was illegal. So what is Nigeria? A place where there's one law for the high and another law for the low. What else did you see? As we speak, all cases in court about Buhari not qualifying to contest have been thrown out. Would it have happened if it were you or me? No. Could you have gotten into the army because your principal wrote a statement saying he did not write the exam, but if he wrote it, he would pass? So for what reason do I want to become a son? I have had the privilege of practicing law outside this country, where the title or the equivalent of the word SAN comes from, where they say you are a Queen's Council, is a body of people with the highest of principles. My dear brethren, in Nigeria, it is not so. Now, what are we saying here today? I'm welcoming you as President of Lower Niger Congress. We put this body together to protect our interests, because even the putting together of Nigeria in 1914 was to come and take your assets, not the assets of every Nigerian, the assets of the people of the Lower Niger. And look at all of you sat here. What is the population of the people of Lower Niger? I'm talking about Abia, Rivers, Delta, Edo. As large as the area is, the population of that place is still very small compared to the resources that the good Lord has given to you in your backyard, under the bases of your river and all of that. That is what they all want. That is what the British wanted. That is what all the people who are now claiming that they are your masters and you are their slaves, that they want. But like my secretary has told you, the United Nations says you have a right to self-determination. You cannot be forced to continue with this enslavement. The last try that we had was to get this country to sit down and talk about how we are going to relate to each other. What did they say in the end? It is a no-go area. So, if you want to continue as a slave, I don't. But let me remind you of one thing. It's all very well to sit here and shout as loud as you like and say yea or nay. But the test is yet to come. On the 29th of May, a successor to Ahmadu Bello and Uthman Danfodio is going to be your president. He had at his command all the forces of oppression. He is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria. The question I want to ask you is, are you going to turn your yes into no when that time comes?
It was then time for the unveiling and deep analysis of the factors which have given rise to this move for a referendum by the Lower Niger people. This was done by Tony Nnadi, the Secretary General of the Lower Niger Congress.
We are not mourning either, because it has pleased God at this time to let these people go. The video you are about to watch, so many things you've been hearing that look like folk tales. We have to break into the archives of those who tied us into this enslavement, just like we really began to do.
All right.
Before we set up the plan of how
Tony Nnadi addressed the press on the overall aim of the solemn assembly.
The map of Lower Niger, as can be found on their website, lowernigercongress.org, of 1885, showing how the peoples of the Lower Niger, the ethnic nationalities of the 11 states, to which Nigeria has fractured them, that map to be adopted as the geography of the territory we are discussing. The Ijaw, the Shekiri, the Urobo, the Igbo, all of the ethnics in those 11 states, have adopted that map of 1885 as the formations in which they will relate henceforth. The second decision is that they have mandated a referendum. The solemn assembly has mandated a referendum of the people, in which people, just like the Scottish referendum that happened recently, will be deciding whether they want to continue in this union of attrition that Nigeria has proved to be. There's also the mandate for wider consultations with the people ahead of that referendum by way of town halls, and consultation with international stakeholders. The Assembly also decided that an asset protection and guarantee scheme be put in place immediately to take an inventory of the assets of the peoples of Lower Niger situated outside the Lower Niger, so as to avoid the experiences of 1970 in which they fled for their lives at the time genocide was being levied against them from other parts of the country. And in 1970, 3 years after they were dislocated from their places of abode, the government of Nigeria, by decree, seized their assets, called it abandoned properties, and never returned to them. And today we are seeing a repetition of the threat by the same people who seized those assets, against them. Finally, the Assembly also decided that a standing committee, an all-purpose standing committee, be put in place to discuss with those who might not have come here on a continuing basis, both local and international. I think we also decided that people from the Lower Niger who, for some either by appointment or election, will be required to come to form government or do government business in Abuja on behalf of the peoples of Lower Niger from any part. The Assembly mandated a recall for consultation. They must come home and discuss with the rest of the people, otherwise they will be there entirely on their own. It doesn't matter that some people are rejoicing that the elections have been held and winners emerging, whether by appointment or by election. If you are of the Lower Niger and you are in Abuja to be part of the governance of that territory with the rest of Nigeria, we are requesting that you come home for consultation before you continue in that transaction.
Banners and placards by the ethnic delegations were unfolded, demanding an immediate referendum to determine their political future. The closing remarks and vote of thanks on behalf of the conveners was taken by veteran Niger Delta self-determination activist and head of the Ijaw National Delegation to the Assembly, Elder T.K. Ogoriba.
I'm done with you. How about is that the end?
More, come in the inside.
No, we're organized them now. It doesn't look nice now.
In the outside, come inside and take pictures.
Alright, our people, thank you so much. The video is complete. As you can see, our brothers and sisters cannot wait to get out of that dungeon. They're doing all that they can. So, Mr. Ebo, as we continue the countdown to the impending constitutional force majeure, can you please lead our viewers into the processes that preceded this April 27, 2015 Solemn Assembly? What has happened since then? What are the things now, and where are we heading next for the project? Mr. April, or meet yourself.
I didn't notice that we are back.
Yes.
What was the question, please? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
I was busy looking at the
video.
The program. Yeah.
Right. No worries. So I said, as we can see, people are trying to get out of this dungeon that we find ourselves. So as we continue this countdown to the impending constitutional force majeure, Can you please lead our viewers into the processes that preceded this Solemn Assembly of 2015? What has happened since that time? What are the things that are happening now, and where are we heading for next for the project?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me also thank you again for bringing me here. Like you could see, the video you're seeing there is as a result of so much work that had been put on over 13 years before that time.
Wow.
Before getting to that point. The MNN Alliance, that is Movement for New Nigeria, didn't used to be MNN before. It all started in the days of the PRONATCO when everybody knew that we could not continue the way we are.
Right.
It wasn't even as bad as it is today, but then we decided that we needed to leave. And I think the first thing that was done was there was a suit that was instituted against the 1999 Constitution as at 2007, because when we looked at everything that has been going on, the failed structures, the genocides that are happening, and people actually have the rights to do that. We knew all these happenings was empowered by the Constitution. So then, even though I wasn't a member then, the Alliance actually instituted a suit against this Constitution far back in 2007. And as of 2011, there was a meeting of members of the Alliance from all the regions. That is from the Middle Belt, ethnic religions from the Middle Belt, ethnic regions from the South, the Southeast, or what you call them today, and even the Southwest, in Lagos, in Ritalori. And everybody was asked to go and activate what we are having today. Speak to your people and understand what your people really want, and agree. If your people want to do this, then we can all go ahead and do this as a people, not individually, because some of the franchises we've seen around have been trying to do things individually.
Right.
So that was what led to the LNC. Haven't come back from that. We engaged different communities in our region. We engaged traditional rulers and told them what we think would be the best to do on how to survive from what we are going through. We asked permissions, we seeked advices, we seek to hear from what the people were saying, the traditional leaders and everything, and that was what led to what you see that happened there around April 2015 during the Solemn Assembly. Because from what you can see, it was a collection of people from different tribes, different ethnic groups coming together. Because first of all, we had to know exactly what are we looking at. When we say the Lower Niger Congress, we had to define our map. We had to know exactly who are we. Okay, for instance, let me know. I don't really have to say this. Like, for instance, the Biafra agitators we have around severally just wake up and say, this is Biafra, and they call different people without having to know what is the real map that we are talking about. So we had to take our time to define who is part of what and who is part of what after a lot of consultations with several people. So we came to the decision that every member of the whole Eastern region and the whole Midwest region was a part of an old map from 1885 called the Lower Niger area. So coming with that, we were able to know exactly who we are actually having together, who we are actually having to be a part of us, who we are actually having to that feels what we feel, who we are actually seeing as those that we would decide to call a union and so forth. So that's what led to the solemn assembly had there, and we call all the ethnic nationalities to come. And like what we just saw there, we saw where voice votes were taken on several mandates that was given to the NLC.
Awesome. Are you still on?
Yeah, I think he's done talking.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm here clicking on buttons. All right. Thank you so much. So, Sister, you go ahead.
All right, Mr. April, thank you for that explanation of how we all came together to do that solemn assembly. And from all the pictures, you can see that everybody said they want referendum. They want to get out of that contraption. There were pictures showing, hey, the Jaw people want referendum, the Asian people want referendum, the Ogoni people. We saw that on the video. So that's to tell us that people really came together and decided that they have repudiated that one singular thing that has held us captive. So it's obvious for our people that, for some reason don't want to understand what has been achieved so far. But let me ask this quick question. In the last few months, we saw several videos in which known self-determination agitators like Asari Dokubo of the Ijaw nationality, we saw Dr. Pedro Baseki of Edo, as well as Robo, Ogoni, and others in the Niger Delta. They vehemently renounced Nnamdi Kanu of IPOB and the suggestion of a Biafra that would include the Niger Delta region. Some are even threatening me, and in fact, it's often seemed that IPOB and Nnamdi Kanu, they like fueling aggregation of anger and enmity against the Igbo people. You understand? So being from the Niger Delta region, this question goes to you, which so heartedly embraced the propositions of the Lower Niger Congress. What is your view? What, in your view, is responsible for this sharp contrast between the response of the Niger Delta nationalities to the LNC and the Biafra and the agitation, since the two campaigns are on what seem to be the same mission of seeking self-determination for the peoples of the Lower Niger? Go ahead, Mr. April.
It's quite a very difficult one, because like you rightly said in the last part of the questions, both organizations are looking forward to having our self-determination and getting out of this entrapment we call Nigeria. You see, specifically the IPOB. The IPOB has made it a little bit difficult, because we will not deny the fact that while we were growing up, that is, we from the Niger Delta, we heard so many tales, we had so many stories that has always made, even during the war, you could have noticed that a lot of people from this region had given the allegiance to Nigeria instead of the alliance to Nigeria instead of the Biafra. So because of the propaganda that had gone through, was moving around, making our people believe that we are going to be oppressed by the Igbos, that the Igbos are going to commit a genocide against our people, and so forth, all those things. And if you, in some of my articles, I've tried to play most of those propagandas. But the truth is, no matter how you try to play it, it's still there. It's still there in the minds of my people. It's still there, and people are still very wary. So when you're coming up and you say you want to go get Biafra, same Biafra that a lot of people want to get out of, you want to get Biafra. Have you come to tell us how you're going to run the Biafra? And even when you have not done that, even when we want to ask, you tell us to go to hell. You are quick to abuse people. Not just the leader of the organization, even the members of the organization are quick to call people names, abuse people, and the leader of the organization is said to be a supreme leader. And when we talk about supreme leader, we talk about North Korea, and we see how it is there.
Yeah.
You cannot question any of the decisions. You cannot do anything. You cannot be part of any decision making. You just have to, like they openly even say it. They say it's command and control. That is for everything. I am commanding. I don't know how to explain that, but whatever it means, it's slavery. Okay. So if you're asking my people, we already have it bad in Nigeria. Why do we want to? We can still walk around, though our people are being killed and we've been oppressed. Why do we have to walk up to where the word of one supreme leader is the law?
I know.
In the 21st century, it doesn't really make sense. And even when most of some, like when Nnamdi Kanu was in prison in Abuja, the NLC actually took a decision to assist and see what we could do. And as our Secretary General had briefed us, he actually made an offer to see how they could work together. And I don't really have to discuss much of what was said, but we knew that it wasn't going to work. A situation where you want to be the commander in chief, you are the supreme leader, and even when we wanted to know what you're even doing, how far you have gone, we didn't see anything.
Nada.
We didn't see anything. You see, this is the 21st century. You cannot really, it doesn't really make sense to try to get freedom through war. Yes, I know it's possible. It works in some cases, but as a matter of fact, it's not popular again. It's not fashionable. It's like having to say you want to change the government and you prefer to go by the guns, the coup d'etat. There was a time it was a fashionable thing where you take over power, other governments recognize you. Now, if you try it, everybody falls on you. It's no longer fine. Nobody accepts it again. So at the same time, it doesn't make sense to go to war because you want freedom. You're abusing everybody. You're challenging everybody. You don't even have your means of defense. You're just being brutal. So sometimes it makes me want to think maybe those guys maybe the guy is actually maybe he's mentally unstable. Because you're not really just there. Mm-hmm. You are either here, you say this, and you come up, you say, no, you didn't say this, no, you say this. And how are you going to lead people to a new nation? And in this new nation you're talking about, you have the components of the new nations that don't want to have anything to do with you. The United Nations will not deal with you if you don't even have an agreeable boundaries internally and externally that anybody has to deal with. Mm-hmm. We understand what the article of the charter of the United Nations that talks about all people having the right to self-determination. Mm-hmm. Now, these people have to be a people with a limited boundary and an agreeable boundary. You don't even have these people, so how are you going to lead them? How are you going to? You sit down and unfortunately. Well, I heard in one of your guests talked about him referring to people tying to wrapper. So you're just sitting down, throwing a stone, and getting boundaries for people that you want to be in your kingdom. It doesn't work like that. So we in the Lower Niger Congress, we know where you're coming from. We know what it takes. We know what it means to engage the international community. You don't go to the international community with abuses and guns, and they will take you serious because it's like getting power and giving power to a madman. Nobody's going to take you serious. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to have anything to do with you. Creating a new tyranny when everybody's trying to run away from tyrants in the world, trying to take away all of them. So it doesn't really make sense for us to continue, because even those of the people from my region that had considered that, like you mentioned those names, after a while, when you sit down and have a careful look at the guy, the operations of the institution, the operations of the followers and how they act, it is best you pull back, because yes, everybody in the new Nigeria Alliance actually want to leave this Fulanized Nigeria. So we want to leave it by every means. But there are some means that, yes, when it comes, when it presents itself, you want to work with it. Then you see it doesn't make sense. So what do? You pull out. things and look for where you have a reasonable direction. You know, where there are strategic steps taken to achieve what you need to achieve. Because I remember when I because, like, you know, my office is basically, it has to do with mobilization. Hello? You said something? Hello?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Like, my office basically has to do with mobilization and contacts, that is having to reach out, because if you had listened to the solemn assembly when the Secretary General was talking about the mandates that was given to us when we were asking for the mandates, one of them actually had to do with an extensive reach out to people of the region, you know, to be able to understand what we are doing, because we also had the mandates to go and instigate a referendum that will come in. So one of the, before that time is actually to reach out to as many people as possible in our communities. So I remember I reached out to a whole lot of people. I talked to people, I write some articles, and I noticed that as soon as you say anything that is being done, that the followers of Nnamdi Kanu have not heard from Nnamdi Kanu. They resort to insulting you. They resort to calling names and very abusive. You can imagine I remember one of the comments in one of my articles, one of them saying that, look, we are going to take over, we are going to change the name of Port Harcourt to the original name it was before it was collected from them, blah, blah, blah. Port Harcourt used to be an Igbo name. Take over the institutions. And I told the guy, I said, you don't say that. You are trying to make people understand that we can coexist. And at the same time, you're threatening people that you are going to take over what they have before the existence starts. How do you want anybody to work with you? How do you want anybody to work with a man, your leader, that wakes up and say that every one of us that go to church are heading to hell? How do we work with a man like that? So does it mean that if the man should have his Biafra, and by God forbid we decide to work with him, that means the man will decide to close all the churches because we are all heading to hell? You know, that's kind of, so I talked to most of them, and some of them come to the realization of what we're doing, and some of them still insist that Nnamdi Kanu is going to give them Biafra. Good for them. We all want to get out of here. If Biafra goes out, it helps the lower Niger region too, because part of it will be out. So it's just for the 5 other regional regions to follow suit. So we don't really have a problem with that. But the fact is that the lower Niger region includes Igbo land as an ethnic group in the region. You also have the Ijos, you have the Anang Ibibie folks, you have the Ejagam and so forth, you have the Ogonis and so forth. So everybody these are all ethnic groups that has come together to form the lower Niger region, of which the Igbo that Nnamdi Kanu is also promising to have a different country is also part of. But I think with time, it's just a matter of time. Like what you people are doing, it's very good, because it will help to educate people that we are actually working on things. We are getting to a point that we are actually going to collapse this contraption called Nigeria, and will actually seek for a referendum legitimately, not having to go with wars or fights or abuses or anything. So everybody can come in and have their time with us. So to your question, yes, that is why our people are no longer comfortable with his group. They are very comfortable with the LNC. And there are so many people from the southeast, the Igbo National Group, that are also very comfortable with us. As you can see, our Secretary General is also from the region, is also from the ethnic group. And we have so many others that are with us. And we are working, and what is actually helping us more is that we are working in alliance with other people. You see, my people, let me tell you this, my people in the Niger Delta feel more comfortable that, look, we are not just living with based on those lies, those propagandas. We are not just living with the Igbos. We have the Yoruba group, we have the Middle Belt group. So everybody is going. By the time we come and we decide, okay, how do we want to have this union? So everybody can say, okay, like an article of relationship, how are we going to function? We are going to have sovereign nations coming into a union. That means we are not going to have a very strong center like what we have today. We are most likely going to have stronger regions and weaker centers, of which that is what our forefather, our statesmen actually decided on when we actually had the Nigeria in 1960. It was a regional form of government, of which with that, I don't think it would be this bad as it is. So we can either do that or we go at separate ways. You say, like the Lower Niger Congress is bold enough to be a nation on its own, same as the Yoruba nation, same as the Middle Belt. I don't know if you understand what I mean. So with that, when you're talking to people, they actually know you know where you're going to. You're not just misdirecting people.
Thank you, Mazi. And you keep mentioning war.
Mazi, my name is Donald. Leave the Mazi. I don't know what Mazi means.
Okay, thank you, Donald. I'm sorry. So we keep saying war. Even after the war, the negotiation will end up on the table. So why are we not looking at that option, right? Because no war ends without getting back on the table. And we are capable of going to the table to speak to advantage and get what we want. So we are going to use that platform versus going to war, because when war comes, our children will die, our mothers will die. It's usually the women and their children that will bear the blunt of it. And we are going to use the option that will favor our people at this point in time.
Peaceful resolution.
Peaceful resolution. Sister, if we go ahead. You're on mute. Sister, if you unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you now.
All right, I was battling with my laptop. Thank you so much, Mr. Epo. We appreciate your contribution because it really explains a lot of things that some people are asking questions on. Indeed, as you can see, the stakes are really very high, both at the local scene where you have the recent U.S. alarm, like Sister Mona said earlier on, how Al-Qaeda and their partners have already penetrated, because when US gives you a report they're about to penetrate, you know that they have penetrated, because you could see that they're preparing, because the executive order that Trump released, some of our shows before, when we're talking about US envoy to Nigeria, all that, they will have reason to do that. So the US is beginning to bring out reasons why they're doing what they're doing, so that you don't think that they're just waking up. They're giving you intelligence reports. So you see Al-Qaeda already penetrating and dangerously moving towards the total extermination of all the indigenous peoples in that enclave called Nigeria. And at the international scene, where there is a serious threat and a global Islamic agenda, you can see how they're coming up with. You can see their plans and where they're going with it. So, Mr. Ebo, can you please tell us what you think is the way forward? Is there a meeting point for all these victims and potential victims? Is there a common plan that can deliver all the peoples in this bondage, all the indigenous peoples in this bondage? Please, can you throw more light on this area for us, please?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Before the reports from the United States intelligence services came forward, we already knew that Nigeria is in the index of failed nation states. Nigeria ranks 15 out of 177. Mm-hmm. So Nigeria is already a failed state, and it will get to a point that it will not just be a failed state, but it will be a rogue state. You know, like we discussed in one of our meetings, all these things are actually making our work a lot easier. Because one of the reasons that we have to leave is because Nigeria is a failed state. Though initially it was because we were being oppressed. But when it comes to a point that Nigeria is a failed state and the people of a certain region say they want to leave because they don't want to continue in this failed state that is becoming a rogue state, it's a lot easier for the international community to come in and respond to the instigation for them to come in for a referendum or conduct a referendum for us. So, and another thing you need to also look at, when they say Al Qaeda is infiltrating Nigeria through the assistance of who? Is it not the same people that want to? They have an agenda. You can either call it the Fulanization of Nigeria, or you can call it the Islamization of Nigeria. We know what the Al Qaeda stands for, what they fight for. We know what they try to do. We know what the ISIS tried to get. They wanted to have an Islamic state. Mm-hmm. We know what Boko Haram wants. We know who is empowering Boko Haram. Boko Haram is being recycled, and we've seen a couple of reports or a lot of statesmen saying it. You know, you have Boko Haram members that are caught, and you are recruiting them and putting them back in the Nigerian army. So how well could you speed up the process of getting Nigeria to become a failed state? Because if you look at Nigeria, it's actually if you check Google and type and say you want to see example of failed states in the world, Nigeria is actually ranked with people like Syria, Yemen, as one of the example of failed states in the world because of all these kind of things. So for us, it's I wouldn't want to use the word an opportunity, but it also gives us more reason to continue in what we're doing, because we're looking forward to we're driving towards the force majeure that we are going to use to take down this constitution. And would I use the word stop everything operating under this rope of a constitution? Because if our constitution is not strong enough to protect us from these invaders, and you also know that when our government said we are giving people visas on arrival, it wasn't talking about people from the south or people from the west or people from southern Cameroon or South Cotonou. It's actually talking about people from the northern borders. Because even before that was even said, if you go to Katsina, there is an open, there is like, like in our villages where you have an open space with one tree in the middle, and, I don't know if you have that, if you understand that if you can imagine that. We have different of those open spaces in the north, in Katsina, in Jigawa, where you have, I think Katsina, where you have just one single man, an immigration officer, sitting under a tree. Wow. And people are passing to the market, back and forth from up and down, and they're entering. So how do you control Al Qaeda coming in? How do you control ISIS coming in? How do you stop Boko Haram or the X-Men or whatever form they are coming up, they are showing up? How do you know who is who? When it is what you actually want, when you actually pay them in the name of trying to make peace, and you pay them and empower them to have more arms than a national security operative. Or when the national security operatives are actually having the supposedly reformed members of these same organizations working with them in uniform. So we've seen all those things. We know all those things. That's why we're speeding up what we're doing. We're actually supposed to, we were supposed to move into an extra gear early this year, if not for the COVID-19 issue that came up. And we are strategizing on that, and we are putting up later dates that will be done. So it's an opportunity in disguise, though we have to get out of this bubble as soon as possible.
Thank you so much, Mr. Epo. I really appreciate your insight, because our people need to understand that we don't have time anymore. Like what we say on this platform, that any day we waste playing politics, talking about 2020 presidency, as if that's the thing that will solve your problem, as if that is what will take the Fulanis away from your land. Any day we waste playing around, our people are going to die. And the danger that we are facing is moving closer to us. So thank you so much. Samuna, please take it from here.
Right, thank you. So, Mr. Ebwai, I'm so sorry. We are going to start taking a Zoom calls. So this is the time for people to Zoom in and ask your questions for Mr. Ebo. So he's here for the next 30 minutes or so. So log in. Let me post the Zoom information. So the Zoom information will remain the same. It was the same one we used last week. I'm sorry. Let me quickly post that information here for you so that you can.
And also, some people are asking for how they can support LNC. Can we give her that information as well?
Right.
Please.
Okay.
We have the LNC has a website that.
No, not even you, Mr. I was talking to Sister Mona. There's something I'm referring to. Thank you.
So yeah. So while we're waiting, let me
Tony
and
Nadi
I'm going to pull up the information for LNC. It's there on the screen. You have their phone number, their email to contact them. You have other ways to support them, so this there. And I'm going to, while that's going on, I will go ahead and post the Zoom information. So let me put it in here. What is that password again?
I've already pinned it. I've pinned it on the page.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
I don't see it. Okay.
I pinned the ID and the
yes.
password.
Okay. Thank you. So that's the meeting ID and the password. So call in so you can ask Mr. Apple questions if you have it. You don't have to put it on the platform. This is the time now to get that information going. So he's ready to take your phone calls. If we don't hear from you guys, we'll call it a day. So log in and let me make sure I'm in here.
And more those from Niger Delta area, this is your man. Come and ask him questions. All those things that are confusing you about the struggle. Mr. Egwe is here to clarify them, please.
Right. So please go ahead, and the information is posted there. Actually, let me help out by calling those numbers out. So the meeting ID number is 987-346-0692. 987-346-0692. That's the number for the Zoom meeting, and then the passcode is 003282. 003282. So this is a good time to log in and give us your 2 cents and your contribution for the day. Like we said, he's here to take your questions, so come in. There's no need to sit on the platform and be upset and be saying things that is incoherent. This is the time. Man up and come up here and ask a question. No ruin or moment. Okay. All right. So while we're waiting, sisters, do you have anything else to add so that we can keep the conversation going? Can you hear me, Sister Ekwe?
Yeah, let me say something briefly. As we are waiting for people to call in, we want our people to understand that what the LNC is doing and what the LNC has achieved so far is getting everybody under the region. Like somebody was asking, what does LNC mean? And I told the person that it's Lower Niger Congress. Then the next question is that what about Upper Niger? And I'm like, oh, he's one of those dingbats. So I really do not have to answer him. But the truth about it is that the Lower Niger Congress comprises of everybody in that 1885 ethno-linguistic map. That map that comprises of people from all localities, all the nationalities. We are under that Lower Niger. So Lower Niger does not mean that that is the name we would bear once we get our self-determination. And that map that Sister Ekwe is showing, it comprises every one of us. People from the Niger Delta area, people from even the Midwestern area also are part of that Lower Niger. So Lower Niger does not depict the name we would eventually bear when we decide to move. So some people saying, why not bear Upper Niger? It just means that you are either non-intelligent or you are just being very mischievous. So we want people to understand that they've gone far. The journey has been ongoing. And we don't want somebody sitting down under a radio and shouting that, hey, you people from Ishan, you are Biafrans. You people from Isoko, you are Biafrans. Or if you are tying double rapper, you are Biafran. You know, all those nonsense. When you present that to the United Nations, they were like, oh, what the heck you guys talking about? United Nations will not even listen to you because they were like, what are you talking about? You have to provide a definitive map, a map that is defined, not just assuming that people should automatically know that they are whom they are not. So I just want our people to understand the Lower Niger, Upper Niger, all those things. Just stop being mischievous. Stop it. It's not going to work for you. It's just depicting that old map, the old map that puts all of us together versus the tiny map that, you know, some people are advocating for. Or assuming that wearing double wrapper depicts the map that you are talking about. You know, you're already saying the Gala people are from Biafra. I don't see double wrapper. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't see double wrapper from Idoma people. So how are they Biafran if they're not wearing double wrapper? And you're actually depicting the map as those people wearing double wrapper. Trust me, we now wear jeans, we wear pants, we wear skirts these days. So what happens to us? So the truth about it is that the Lower Niger is comprising that old map, and that is the map we are going with. All right, Sister Ekwe.
Yes, thank you, Sister Augusta. You see, it's good to clarify some of these things. Like Sister Muna was saying, there's a threat of extermination. They're about to wipe all of us, and you can see it. It's not a propaganda, because when about Boko Haram and Al Qaeda and all these terrorists, they don't talk too much. They are talk and do. As they're telling you, they're doing it, while our people are in their kitchens ranting. So Susamuna was asking earlier on that if you have this type of trade, what are you supposed to be doing now? Are you not supposed to be putting all your strategies on the table and looking for which one is which one will help give us what we want faster? That's what you expect people to be discussing now. What are the options we have? Which one we do this job faster? I can see somebody in comments saying constitutional force majeure will not work. How do you know?
You guys should go and get a better job. Stop all this rubbish. Yeah? You Clifford, Irania, very soon you'll be tracked down. Stop selling out.
What's that?
It's one of the miscreants.
Yeah, one of the miscreants. And that's what we're talking about. Imagine a full man, doing this in public. And we are telling them, since after the war really had effect on us. And that's what we're telling people that are calling for war. The one that we fought 50 years ago, we have not come out of it. Our men now behave like children. Our men are not able to sit down and reason and talk with you, bring out issues, and then argue based on issues and facts.
They cannot articulate.
All they do is move around. Look at what somebody just did. You just come in and say, you guys. These are illiterates. They are not educated and they don't want to learn. They are not interested in learning. No matter what you tell them, rather than to say, okay, this one, if you do this one, what do we do? Ask your question.
No, where I'm actually surprised is, why would somebody, you have a problem with Nigeria, you have a problem with the oppression, you have a problem with the dictatorships that have been coming one after the other, and yet you want to, is somebody online?
Yes, you can now. Obi Ago, please turn on your video.
Then you want to move into another bondage that calls that is a supreme leader. You already seen what is happening in North Korea. You've seen what happened in most of these communist states. Why would you want to be led by someone that is very erratic, very insulting, does not tolerate
divergent opinions,
a diverse opinion?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to do that?
Right.
Mr. Eko, you see, we are not even having the nation yet. We are just having a discussion. They won't even allow us to have a discussion.
That is terrible.
And the nation
It's
is not
scary.
ready to.
It's terrible. It's a nice
How follow you to the nation?
How does that really work? How does that happen? How does that come to be? That you have people that are already believing that they are better than every other, they have a better option than every other person, they should remain on top, they should not tolerate anybody, they should kill. Like the other day, somebody said something and the leader did not like it, and the leader ordered that he should be stoned to death. What's the difference with North Korea? And people are comfortable with that. A man that no matter what you do, we've seen the trend in Africa. We've seen most of these what do they call it? Rebel leaders. They don't end well.
Mm-mm.
They don't end well.
They don't realize that
Because
justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. They think it's just us. They're directing it to us right now. Like you say, here we are having a wonderful conversation. As we are speaking, whoever that did that, your brother sold your country, the sovereignty of your country, to China. You are not fighting him. You call yourself a man. But you want to come on Facebook to embarrass yourself. You guys are sickening. You guys are less than Fulani headsman. You guys are less than animals. You guys are less than, I don't even have words to describe your so-called useless Biafrans or whatever you call yourself. I am ashamed of you guys. I am ashamed of you guys. Obinna, please, Ikenna, go ahead.
We just need to be calm. It's a matter of time. They will also get to know.
Right.
Because whatsoever is holding them to the bondage that makes them believe that is the best thing that has happened to them, after a while they will know that is not actually the best thing.
We don't have the while. Fulani is upon us.
It doesn't really matter how many numbers are the people stopping us. They are not distracting us. They were distracting us before because it was actually difficult to get our people to join into the struggle because of their presence. Because it's for every reasonable person, when you have a conversation with a person and you explain to the person what you're doing and what we should be looking forward to, they understand. They calm down. Most of these guys getting this very erratic. By the time you have a one-on-one, sit down with them and ask them questions, the alternatives. They don't have it, so they will usually get to agree with you.
Thank you.
They will always agree with you. So I will not say anything harsh to them because I know they are just under the influence of the bandwagon influence. So by the time you pick up one person out and you talk to the person, he reasons differently. So what they are having now is just the bandwagon influence. So it's not a problem. It's not an issue.
Thank
you. They are not disturbing us.
Thank you, Mr.
They are not disturbing
we
us.
have Mr. Obi Ago. Mr. Obi Ago, please go ahead. Turn on your video and give us your contribution. And we have other people waiting. Obi Ago. Okay, so let's get rid of that one. He is not ready. And then we have this Andrew Ahibon. That's the thing. Some people will come in, they don't use their real name. They will be answering Lizzie Chung, Chinese person, You know, they're not even sincere enough to come up with their real name. That's how bad it is. The insincerity that we have to deal with. They claim they're freedom fighter, but you're not bold enough to come out with your real name.
I think the freedom way.
So
how?
Andrew Ahimbon, please go ahead. Your real name.
Okay. My name is my name is Dorothy.
Your picture,
so your picture. You put on your video.
I don't have to put my picture.
Please, sister.
No. We can't take that. Disconnect,
please.
Take it out.
Okay.
We don't have time for dingbats, please.
Yeah, that's what we have to deal with. So while they are busy playing games, like we said, if the Fulanis are in your backyard, they have sold your sovereignty to China. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. When you are signing contract in Chinese that you did not read before ahead of time, why are they even? So as we are talking right now, these people are piping oil from our own area to their own area. At the end, the Chinese people will use us for payment. And nobody is concerned about that. Your concern is to fight for your supreme leader. Your concern, you guys should be marching on now to that Asoro to burn it down. That's what you should be doing. You shouldn't be on Facebook because Facebook is not your problem. If you call yourself a man and you know the future of your children are in danger, you should go and march on to Asoro or whatever you guys call it and take it down, because that's where everything is going down right now. We are not doing freedom fighting on Facebook
because they are not able to think well, and that's why I'm being patient with them. We're not gonna wait for them, for our children to die, and everything to be ruined because somebody cannot reason properly. We called on for discussion. Call in. Let's discuss issues. We want to build a nation, right? Okay, we are all stakeholders because I'm here to fight for my freedom. I don't know about you. So we are all stakeholders in this. We say, okay, this nation we say we want to build. Let's sit down and discuss how we want to build it. You're throwing tantrums here and there. You think it's about supremacy? No, we are done with supremacism. We are here to talk about democracy. My people say, live and let live.
But what would prompt anybody want to run into a country that has to do with supremacies and so forth?
Stupidity.
No, because they have been promised.
Why would anybody think that anybody is going to successfully create a country of dictating or a country of tyranny at this 21st century?
No.
A new country of tyranny.
Mr.
The old ones could try to survive, but a new one cannot.
Their belief is that once Biafra comes, they will become millionaires, not knowing even here in America that we have homeless people. Okay, Mazi Ifani, you're on, please. You cannot be on and talking. There you go. That's them. Very unruly, and they want a country.
Majority of them are uneducated. Majority of them
and they find themselves somewhere in the eastern country, and they think they're all that.
Rhetorics of Nnamdi Kanu. He has. Oh my God! It has taken their hearts, and they can't reason anymore. They have to listen. I don't know, whatever he did in Ibn Okabi has eaten deep into the fabrics of these people, and it's quite unfortunate. So,
and it makes it easy for us to know that we cannot follow them to whatever nation.
So when we say in so many platforms, I see people asking the same question you asked: why can't the LNC work with the Nnamdi Kanu's people?
How do you work with somebody like this?
You cannot work.
Bad market.
How?
Because you want to work with a group of people that are very, very unintelligent, a group of people that are willing to to be controlled and commanded by one man that is also possibly mentally unstable. So how do you work? How do you reason logically with these people? So as a matter of fact, I think we should totally ignore. As a matter of fact, the LNC does not even respond to them. The LNC does not respond to whatsoever they do. The only thing we had to respond to was when the Secretary General's name was being written on one fake, non-existing newspaper, and that is what they keep doing. It doesn't matter. It's just you ignore them. Good enough, they call if it's them. If not for the fact that they are so stupid to start a conversation with abuses, we would actually have them say what they want to say and thank them for contributing. If they are going to speak English and relate.
Mr. Ebo, we have a caller. Caller, your name and where you're calling from. Caller, please mute your device. You're listening to something. Your name and where you're calling from.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, you are the caller, sir, right?
Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry. Well, my name is Val Osuala, and I'm calling from London. I just want to say that I want to first of all thank you. I actually know when you joined initially with IPOB. I know when Irania joined. We started this thing with this brother here, but this wasn't what was intended, you know. Unfortunately, one day the whole story will be told, and I know someone like Iken Nainyago, Ike, who was in Malaysia and was lured back to come home when they told them it's time to march, and the guy left what he was doing in Malaysia and he couldn't go back. He's now, you know, so many things went wrong, and I feel ashamed each time realizing that most of our people don't have that ability to reason, and that is not their fault. It's also the level of education and understanding and exposure. I'm actually calling to say that you've been liberated and you are trying to liberate many. When I saw what was happening, I withdrew. I was in a state of shock because I know how Solidarność in Poland helped Polish to fight communism under Lech Wałęsa. I saw how Shanana Gushmao helped to free East Timorese from what they were going to in Indonesia. We all know how ANC liberated South Africa. So it's not about not having enough systems or concepts. We don't even need to crack our head. We just need to pick one and follow if we decide is what we're following. But now somebody is making it look as if he's the only one and that we all have to worship. Like the brother said, how can you leave one country that is not working and you are trying to create another one that's going to be worse than the place you want people to live? And my people, when we had the problem and he moved on with the radio, I still see him as the director of Radio Biafra. His arm was to take control of the radio and broadcast. He had other people that was in a team, Amarachis, the Egenbats and all that. After a while, he fought all of them off because he does not like intelligent people around him. You cannot ask questions. You must take direct order. And I remember asking him one day, have you been in the army? Do you have any military background? If an AK-47 is pieces in front of you, can you recouple it? Why are you telling people obey commandments? Because you are not from that very constituency. You have no clue. Biafra is lucky to have at least, if we are conservative, up to about 50,000 living people that fought in that very war that are still alive. People around me. You cannot ask questions. You must take that. So if you want to get military experience, you have those people to go to. So, but he doesn't understand it. A lot of our people are blindly following and thinking that one man will get us where we want to go to. No. I've always said it. We'll be expecting a dry tree to fall. And where we're expecting that dry tree to fall, a living fresh one will fall. I have listened to Lower Niger Congress. I've been following Nade and what they've been doing right from the time that Pro-NACO, when Nahoro was even alive, may so rest in peace. He was part of this.
a lot of bright minds. We have the Yoruba nation, part of we have the Middle Belt. You have a larger pool of people, almost going to about 70 million, that want to pull out. So it's going to be even easier for us than when you sit down and you're just shouting. So I don't have any question but to say thank you for what you are doing and keep the good work going. And more grease to your elbows. Thank you.
Thank you, Maz. We didn't get your name. What's your name again?
Val Oswala.
Yes, Val Oswala. Thank you, Mr. Val Oswala. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thanks so much. Thank you. Bye now. Thanks.
Good day. Welcome. Your name and where you're calling from.
I believe my name is on the on display, but my name is Iroya Clifford Chukwemeka, and I am calling from Houston, Texas. I believe I'm coming out clear, correct?
Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, because we have only one man there, I greet you all, and I appreciate you and excited to see Donald Ego for the first time in terms of video. I've been reading his wonderful write-up, and I'm glad he made it today. I appreciate your effort, and I just want to. I don't have a question for Donald, but I'm kind of say one or two things to support what he said, and it is very, very important. There was something he said in one of his speeches today where he talked about boundary, internal and external boundary. It is what I think is the French, they call it sine qua non or something like that. It is something absolutely important. In fact, you start with it and you end with it. What do I mean by that? When you go out to UN, for instance, the first thing they will ask you is your map, is your footprint. Now, when you now have your independence, which is the final point, you have to have a map of the area that was granted independence. Map is the beginning, map is the ending of it. And any organization that cannot bring to the table in print, and there's something else Donald said. Donald used a qualifying word, because sometimes when people speak, when you read things, you look at the words. Donald said an agreeable boundary. He used the word agreeable. So this is something that we must understand. Sister Mona and Sister Augusta, they live with me here in Houston. And I believe from time to time, they tie two wrappers to occasions or to church or to something. So seeing them tying two wrappers in Houston, that makes Houston part of Biafra. Why do I keep saying this? We have been told that anywhere you see women tied to wrappers, it didn't say anywhere in Nigeria, because we go back and look at that statement. It says anywhere. Therefore, if a woman tied to wrappers in Houston is part of Biafra. So where am I going with all this? We have to acknowledge and pay serious attention to that word footprint as a big grammar, or map as a simple grammar. If we can't get it correct, if we cannot produce, using the words of Donald Ego, an agreeable map, if we cannot produce an agreeable map, we are deceiving ourselves. This is simply the message I want to pass today. I don't want to go into the other 7 point strategies. But
thank you.
Those who make mockery of the word map that we use, let them know that, Donald, for your sake, I'm going to translate this proverb to English. There is, in Igbo proverb, there is a river they call Ngene. It's the way they put it, that if you stir it up and you bring up all the deaths, at the end of the day, you will still take it and drink. That is what the map is all about. No matter what you do, no matter how you denigrate, And no matter how you cajole our people, our program and everything, you will still come back to that same, again, the word agreeable map. Thank you. Now I can say ladies and gentlemen, because I think we have a guy there. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is all I have to say today. Thank you, and bye-bye for now.
Thank you, Mazi, for that contribution. Mr. Selo, please give us your true name and where you're calling from.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Selo Chijoke. I'm from UAE.
Okay. Chijoke, what is your last name, Chijoke?
Chukwuemeka.
Chukwuemeka. Okay, welcome to the program. Please, go ahead.
So, I've been seeing your program for a very long time, not before your program. I'm a full member of IPOB. So, just so that you know where I'm speaking for. So, in this struggle we are, as a young guy I dedicated myself, everything for this struggle of Biafra to come, for the benefit of our unborn children and our generation to come. We all know that where we come from is not good for a living.
Nope.
So, but my heart bleeds anytime I see our people fighting each other over a common goal. Now, I want to ask if our young brother Donald Epo, because me, I'm trying to learn many things and balance on what is happening on our own struggle today. When South Africa, Nelson Mandela was fighting for the freedom of their people, how many groups did they have?
90.
Epo.
Did you hear the answer? 90.
No.
90.
90.
Yes, 90. They had 90, but by 1990, they now came together and started working together. And by 1994, they brought down the constitution officially, the apartheid constitution.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay. Secondly, in Biafra struggle, we have about LNC, IPOB, others like Lower Niger Congress. According to what I heard from them, they are fighting from betterment of Nigeria.
Sorry, can you bring down, because the time is going, please? Can you just ask one question that you want, and then we'll answer you, please? Okay. By the way, LNC is not fighting for betterment of Nigeria. Like we have shown you people this map severally, that this is what it's all about. This is the new, can you see all the parts here? Does this look like one Nigeria? Can you see
before? I know that there's no one.
Mm-hmm. So let's not misinform our listeners, and we appreciate it, please, if you just ask us one direct question, because other people are waiting on the line. Thank you very much.
Okay. So people say that IPOB, Lower Niger Congress, all these groups should unite, which is a good idea. Okay, and all these people, they believe that they have to go back to the. I think I heard it from before the lawyer. He said that IPOB should go back to from the people that spell IPOB struggles or something like that, which is the Ohanezes and the schools. Okay, and on last week Wednesday on Nankan's program, he made a statement about the meeting they have with Ohanez and Igbo, which we did not answer about it. Okay, how can Mazen have meetings, secret meetings, these people that they want us to unite together, and then we go at the back and lead those people to the enemies? So how do you want to continue?
Can I respond to you?
Should I discuss? Should I speak with him? Okay. Should I speak with the young man?
Okay, go ahead, please.
Selo.
Yeah.
Hello, Selo.
I'm hearing you.
Okay, the questions you are trying to ask So far, I've not really heard the question, but what you mean is you're talking about betrayal. They are going to leak to the enemies. They are going to, who are the enemies? You see, this is the problem I want to discuss with you personally. When you have an organization, that if anything, you are struggling for one goal, right? Like you say. Then now, if the direction of the struggle is different from what one man says it should be, that person is either a saboteur, an enemy, a prostitute, a madman, and everything. How do you want all these madmen, saboteurs, enemies, and everything to work with you in your new nation? So are we going to have a new nation that is going to start with enemies from within? How do you want to have an organization where nobody is trusted except one person? You asked a question, you said how many groups were there in South Africa before they had their independence? And one of the sisters answered you, yes, there were 90. But at some point in time, nobody placed him or herself above others. Rather, you had people sacrificing themselves for others. But in a situation where we have one group that believes that anybody, like some pictures that I've seen or photographs, where you see any member, any subject of this supposedly new nation must prostrate, must pay homage to one person. Where I'm coming, you see, it's now difficult to have another group to now come and have to prostrate to be able to work together. And it's also difficult to have another group to come and say, look, these are the strategies, this is how we want to achieve what we want to have. And this other group says, this is how we want to do it. And we say, let's see yours. And we say, we cannot show you because you are enemy. But you want to see what we are doing. So how can you work together? How can you work together when you have one of the leaders, good enough, you are in UAE, that's United Arab Emirates. So that means you know where North Korea is, that presently has a supreme leader. Have you seen the conditions of the living, of those living under a supreme leader? Is the seller still there?
Yes. Hello, my brother.
Okay.
Hello, my brother.
Okay. Have you sat? You do not understand who a supreme leader is. A supreme leader does not work with any other person except the person is taking instructions from him. So now, how do you want? There are more than 16. There are more than 16 groups in the Niger Delta alone, and there are more than 5 in the southeast. So how can you work with one supreme leader that wants everybody to say as he does, to command and control? How do you want him to command and control what is already existing as an institution?
Hello, my brother. My brother, are you hearing me now? Understand? We in IPOB, we are not foolish. Number one. Okay, when Clifford Ruaya, the leader of NLC, was in IPOB, are they not under command and control?
I've never been in IPOB, so I don't know. I'm just wondering why people be under command and control.
Mrs. Mona, I think. When you are in IPOB, are you not under command and control?
Command and control what?
So can I ask you what the meaning of command and control is?
Means that you have to respect the last order.
Mazi.
Are you in a military organization? Do you know what obeying the last order means?
Before you take order, you must know that we are under command and control.
But we say we don't want that.
And that is slavery.
No.
That is slavery.
When I get into IPOB,
how can you want to move from Nigeria and move?
Okay, Mazi Selo, I think you're getting misinformed about this. Let me tell you one thing about IPOB, and then we end this conversation. Your IPOB is not leading you anywhere. If you can recall, when we were part of this IPOB, if you look at our videos, while we were inside IPOB, we were telling you guys that the container that you guys were with, this is when we were under IPOB. To tell you our sincerity, we kept saying that the container that you guys are waiting for coming from the high sea, there is nothing in it but scorpions and Fulani headsmen with AK-47. Because you guys are brain dead. No, but this is when we were under IPOB. Go and look at our videos. We were telling you that nothing is happening with this organization. So we really have to end it at that, because you should focus on your question today on what we are doing, and we are not going anywhere. So, Mazi, please, your final statement before we go, sisters. We have to call it in because they are not getting where we're going. Sisters, your final statement. Mr. April, please go ahead before we end.
It's rather unfortunate, but I really appreciate the fact that you brought me here.
Thank you.
And it's not new to me. We see that every time, and we have the conversations. It's just that when you persist, there's a common trend. If we had continued speaking with Selo, he would have possibly abused us and run away. And maybe the next time when you see him, he will abuse. And by the third time you see him again, he will listen to you. That is the trend. I deal with them regularly. I have a lot of conversations. And I understand it's a bandwagon effect. It's an influence. It happens to human beings.
We are desperate for this freedom so much.
Yes.
We are desperate.
And if you look at most of them, they contribute so much money on monthly basis to a cause that they believe in, that whosoever is there does not have an idea what he's doing, but just wants to retain the position that allows the money to keep coming. And that is very unfortunate that is happening to our people. And after a while, you see a lot of people understanding this and walking away. So to me, it's a good thing doing what you're doing, because it will still help a lot of people to come out of it. But that is not our business. That is not our problem. That is not what we're interested in. What we're interested in is to constitutionally take down this constitution legitimately, and advance to where we want to see ourselves, a position where we'll actually decide what we want to be, where we want to, who we want to reside with, who we want to cohabit with, where all groups are going to be equal partners. So that is what we're looking at. We're not really bothered about this. And once again, I thank you very much for having me in the program.
Thank you, Sister Augusta.
Thank you, Mr. Donald Ekpo, for coming, and thank you for tolerating some of these miscreants. Yeah, before now I wouldn't have called them that, but the truth about it is that if you have been somewhere before and their modus operandi, then you'll be able to confidently talk about issues because you've been there before. So for those that still follow a non-entity, Nnamdi Kanu is a non-entity. Let's put that out rightly. Nnamdi Kanu is a deranged human being. He's psychological. He's mad. He needs some medicines to straighten him up, because he has actually taken the brains of our people and messed with it. He has messed with our youth. He has messed with our elderly. He has messed with a lot of people. He keeps giving them a Biafra that I know would not come if it has to come through him. He keeps giving them that hope that Biafra would come. He has messed with them emotionally, because these people are outside. Majority of them don't have papers where they live, where they reside. I know this brother that just called probably doesn't have papers, and somebody's giving him hope that, hey, Biafra is going to come by December, so don't worry, start preparing to go. I'm sure it's going to fight anybody for that Biafra to come, because he's not comfortable where he's at.
No, it's not.
Yeah. So, majority of them, you see them, they jump from 20-story buildings, they jump running away from immigration officers, they jump from 100-story buildings, and they fall and their brains scatters on the floor. We see this all the time. It nauseates us, it drives us crazy. But at the end of the day, they hear some supremo telling them that, hey, I'm going to get you Biafra by December, just trust me. It's sad. So we have a lot of, and that is how they have been coined. That is how he has managed to implant God knows what into the brains of our people. And it's demoralizing when you see somebody that is supposed to be reasoning with his head and with his brain. He cannot, because he has to wait for the command and control of a dingbat. He has to wait for the command and control of a Nikompo. I'm sorry to use this kind of word because Nnamdi is getting on everybody's nerves right now. He is. It has to stop. United States have already termed IPOB as a what is it called? Interest, sister, if we help me with that. An entity of concern.
Yeah.
And very soon they will be termed an FTO if they are not careful. He keeps telling people, lately one of his stupid statements is that he's going to kill us saboteurs by the time he raises his flag for independence. And I'm like, you're already showing that you're a tyrant and we haven't even gotten the freedom yet. So it has to stop. It has to really, really stop. Because it's messing with our brains.
Will any sane human being wants to, you see, you have, would you have that man as a president of any country? Any sane human being wants to live under him? A man that wants to stone his elders, that asks children to stone elders, when he does not have control over a gun, when he has the command over a gun, then he's going to commit genocides one day after another.
He's going to kill. And he's already killing. That we know. He's already sending his people to go kill and maim. And sometimes he would even attribute it to the Fulani X-Men. Because, you know, I traveled last December and I didn't see those Fulani X-Men in my village. The few that I saw probably are the ones working in that environment. And everybody was amicable. But he is inciting fear in our people. And that fear is driving, you know, them to become unruly. They are very, very insulting. They can curse at any given time. They don't care if they are cursing their mothers. They don't care if they are cursing their uncles or their sisters or their aunts. They don't want to listen. They don't want to do anything that will benefit them. This guy just got to stop. It has to stop. I'm imploring the United States to please give him this FTO so that it stops. Because that is the only thing that is going to stop him, like real quick. And when people start finding out that, hey, he has been named, his organization has been named a terrorist organization, they will pull out. They will pull out from that entrapment because he's calling Nigeria a zoo. And yet he is forming a museum with Biafra. I don't get it. How do you move from a zoo? At least in the zoo, animals can move up and down. But in the museum, you're already embalmed. You're dead. And that is what he's trying to form with the Biafran name. So I want our people to understand that the pathway to freedom, since we do not want to go to war, is diplomatic moves. And this has been done consistently by the LNC. There's alliance with Yorubas, alliance with the Middle Belt. We have featured these people on our show, telling you that, hey, they are all in to get us our freedom. You can't do it alone. If you do it alone, you get killed. And we're telling our people, we don't want to, the death just got to stop. Don't get yourself involved in one ranter that stays in an office in Germany. I know he's in Germany right now, or in his office or whatever in London, and gives you command and control. A guy that does that is so lily-livered. When the Python dance came to his village, he ran and he left our people to shield him, and they were killed in their hundreds. This guy needs to stop because our freedom is what we want. It's imminent. We are seeing it, and we want him to stop derailing our people. Stop them and let them focus.
Thank you.
I just think this is all I have to say now, and I want people to please support the LNC. What the LNC is doing is the real pathway to freedom. Support the LNC so that we can get this freedom ASAP and move on. Thank you, my listener. Thank you, Mr. Ekpo, for showing up today.
Thank you, Sister Ekpo.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You see, one cannot help but really be emotional, when it comes to what is going on, because we are seeing that our people are dying for no just reason. So I want to clarify one or two things, as we go, about I know the black man is not really used to processes. When you say due process, when you say I'm going to do this, then you sit down, plan in phases, then you move from step by step. But he has kept us in bondage for over 400 years, and we want to depart from that type of lifestyle. We want to do what has worked, which is, he has worked in several places, like one of the callers said. you want to do something, you pick, this is how I want to do it, and you move from one place to the other. So at the end of the process that LNC, MNN, partners, alliance, have engaged, at the end of it, what is going to happen is that the lower Niger, like we showed you, because we showed you people this map before, all these are federating blocks in Nigeria. This is the lower Niger, this is the Yoruba land, and this is the middle belt. So at the end of collapsing the 1999 constitution, that apartheid constitution, that fraudulent constitution, that constitution that has kept all of us in bondage, at the end of collapsing it, what will happen is that these blocks that you are seeing, we all emerge. Of course, we know that the top place, which is Sharia, they have already gone out of Nigeria. They're on their own, doing their own stuff, and looking for how to conquer the rest of us, and selling us to China and everything. So at the end of pulling down the constitution, it is by referendum that each will decide what they will do with their sovereignty. So LNC is not for new Nigeria. No. When you pull down the constitution, the 1999 constitution, the union is over. That's the end of the union. You don't need to go and fight again to bring down and destroy Nigeria. That's the end. That's it. And I don't know how we can explain it to our people, but we will try, and we've been trying. We have a lot of videos that we try to explain the processes to our people. That at the end of pulling down the 1999 constitution, the union is over. Now, each of these federating blocks, we have their sovereignty back in their hands. And it's by referendum they will decide what to do with that sovereignty. Just like other nations have done. Germany, France, Portugal. These ones became independent units. Some decided to form a union, like European Union, like United Emirates. So they will now decide, but it's at the end. You have to bring that constitution down first. And we have told our people that we are working like a group. There's alliance. We are working together here. All these people in white have formed alliance against these Sharia belts that have made up their minds to kill the rest of us. How else can we explain it to you guys for you to understand? Even if your head is blocked, if you actually open your mind a little bit, you will understand what we're saying. But the interesting thing, like Mr. Ekpo said, we are not waiting for you. Because like I told people, I say, even when in the Bible, God has never worked with millions of people. In the time of Gideon, he only worked with 300 people. In the time of when they were in Babylon, it was just Daniel. And Daniel came and started praying and moving. In the time of Nehemiah, Ezra. So we are not waiting for you to wake up, because we know that your brain is damaged already. We will eventually take all of you to rehabilitation center, actually. Because eventually when we have our nation, there are some that might not function in a free society, a society where people are matured, are responsible. So they are used to fighting because of the brain damage they suffered. Don't worry, we got you. We will set up a rehabilitation center. You will willingly fill the form and go there, and your brain will be rehabilitated. It's just like somebody on drugs. There are some that their drug is cocaine, some is alcohol. So this one is, we will give you the name, but we know it's a form of addiction, maybe supremo addiction. I don't know what to call that addiction. So those that have that disease, we actually go for rehabilitation to help them function well in the new society that we are talking about. Thank you very much, viewers. We appreciate you. Keep a date with us next week. Thank you, sisters. Thank you, Mr. Ekpo.
Thank you, Sister Ekpo. So as you all can see, without internal cohesion, we are not going anywhere. Our people need to form this force for us to get ourselves out of the cage that we have found ourselves in. Remember, even if you have just one key and the other people are still in that cage, they will not let you go. So it makes sense to form the alliance. We've showed you the map, the territory alliance, for us to connect with our brothers and sisters to get ourselves out of the hands of our enemies. So until next week, we will see you guys then. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, and we are about to end the show. And then to support the work of LNC, this thing they are doing is not free. People are paying money to run around and get this work done. So if you want to support what they're doing, we are posting their information here. Oh my goodness. On here, but I guess I don't know what I clicked. Me and my little button here. Oh, here it is. So this is their information. So they have their email, they have the account number, as well as their Zelle and PayPal and Cash App. However way you want to support what is being done, you can contact us at the phone number listed on our platform, the 774 number. And we can have a cordial conversation. As long as you are not here to talk about your Supremo, you are genuinely concerned about how we need to move ourselves forward and get ourselves out of the hands of this, what should I call it? But it's very soon it will be the Chinese government. So we do not have time. This is a dire situation. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you all next week, and be blessed. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.